President of the BBVA Foundation, President of the Council, distinguished jury members, and distinguished guests. Climate change has become a defining problem for our generation. If left unchecked, it could become an existential threat in this century, at least for the poorest 3,000 million people, about 40% of the world. Earth's climate is determined by laws of physics, laws of chemistry, biological phenomenon, and Newtonian dynamics. The interaction between these four processes is what creates our forests, our deserts, hurricanes, glaciers, droughts, floods, etc. I personally want to express my gratitude to the BBVA Foundation on behalf of thousands of scientists working in this area for being the first foundation to recognize climate change science. And I also want to thank the jury, which has some of the top climate scientists in the world. And I thank them for the time they spend on this. My journey to this beautiful palace house of BBVA started decades ago in my grandfather's village in South India, where I watched, sitting in his veranda, hot summer days go one day at a time. There are hundreds who have helped me in this journey. And I was given only 420 words, so I couldn't acknowledge all of them. So I'd like to recognize my wife of 43 years, who has been a force in my life and a soulmate. Without her, without exaggeration, I wouldn't be here. I turned 60 about 11 years ago, and I watched with frustration lack of action in climate change, in spite of compelling and convincing evidence thousands of scientists had collected. On my own, I found my own career was a colossal waste, and including colossal waste of money, because I had spent close to $100 million of public funds to design instruments on satellites, aircraft, ships, and drones to document this. For me, help came from unexpected quarters, up probably there. I received an invitation 10 years ago by Pope St. John Paul to join the Pontifical Academy of Sciences. It's not that many know about this academy. It's one of the most prestigious science academy. Of course, I'm not biased. Scientists are chosen for election, not for religious beliefs. There are many who don't even believe in religion, just pure for scientific excellence. A few years into this academy, I realized the power of religion in making a fundamental transformation in the public attitude towards climate change. For me, it was not difficult to embrace this because climate change, because of our inaction, had become a huge moral, ethical problem. There are many I can give you, but just to give you one example, 60% of the climate warming pollution is caused by the wealthiest 15%, about 1 billion people, 1,000 million. The worst consequences of that, we all know, it doesn't require sophisticated science, is going to be experienced by the poorest 3 billion people, 40% of the population. Their collective role, this is what I presented at the academy, is less than 5%. And so this is the case I took to Papa Francisco, teaming up with the Chancellor of the Academy and a well-known economist, Partha Dasgupta, and myself. We organized a meeting of the thought leaders of the world, including many Nobel laureates, including our chair, Ted Hansch. He's also a member of the Academy. After 3 days, of this top engineers, top energy experts, top in everything, we came to one simple, remarkable conclusion. Unlike any I have seen in any document, that solution to the climate change problem requires a fundamental change in our attitude towards each other and in our attitude towards nature. So it basically requires a moral revolution. We have the technologies, we have the know-how to stop the emissions. So we are really lucky to have Papa Francisco as a moral leader for the world. This was recognition came from the Academy meeting. So what do we really need? In my own view, we urgently need an alliance between science, policy, religion, and corporates at the grassroots level. And we must also provide energy access to 40% of the planet, 3 billion poorest people who are still burning firewood and dung to cook their meals. And on the cook stove video you saw, it's led by, I'm so proud to say this, my 2 daughters, Nithya, who is a wireless technology expert, and my other daughter, who has an economics background and in rural intervention. So they are really causing a revolution in converting these women into climate warriors. And I want to conclude with two statements. First is, I'm so glad my immediate family of 10, my children, my grandchildren, and my wife, are all here to know at least I did my best to protect their future. And the second thing is, I want to conclude with is, last week, California, Southern California, had a major fire, which has become a phenomenon for us to live with. 30 kilometers downwind of that fire, my grandson, who lives in Los Angeles, his name is Tenzin, he goes out and says, announces to his parents, I am smelling climate change. So I would say in 35 years from now, those of you who are still 65 or below would live to see my prediction. Everyone on this planet would feel climate change, would see climate change, would smell climate change. But I'm confident we would not let that happen. We have the scientific know-how. We have the technology. After all, what it takes is a realization. Fossil fuel has become an outdated technology. We just have to move beyond that. If I can reduce all of the solution to one statement, that's that we are working with completely outdated technology. Just imagine that fossil fuel kills 7 million every year in air pollution alone. Thank you.